We often talk in the Silver Sales Bullet about tenacity, courtesy, and humour. Can you tell us how and why that is effective?
Yeah, I'll try. I think tenacity, courtesy, and humour are very, very useful qualities to have, but they're perhaps the most difficult to master if you don't have them naturally. I'm a great believer in genetical makeup of human beings. You often hear people say, and I think it's true, you can't teach people to teach. Teaching is about communication. Now, I actually think you can. I mean, the Silver Sales Bullet is a training program. People can improve themselves. But if you have the genetical makeup which enables you to communicate, then you can be a far better teacher than those who perhaps don't have that genetical makeup. Tenacity, I often discuss alongside the phenomenon of resourcefulness. Quite often in life, and especially in difficult times, you can have a lack of resources. Could be financial resources, equipment, whatever it might be. Sometimes we don't have the resources we would like, but there should never, ever be a lack of resourcefulness. Resourcefulness is in here, and it comes down to tenacity. And quite often, we sometimes talk about the influential decision makers and individuals across the globe, chief execs, chairmen, billionaires, members of royal families, politicians, that we've engaged with, both for ourselves and on behalf of our clients. We've been told that these are the untouchables. Well, I think the untouchables are touchable, and I I have I'm almost automatically programmed when somebody would say, "Oh, I don't suppose you could get me a meeting with the Pope." My stock answer is yes, absolutely. I would then add the caveat: it won't be this afternoon. It's highly unlikely to be tomorrow. Probably not next week, but can it happen? Absolutely, of course it can happen. The Pope meets people all day, every day. The President of the United States meets people all day, every day. Her Majesty the Queen, even though she's a fine lady in her mid-90s now, she meets people every day. So clearly it's possible. There are some very high-profile individuals around the world that are more difficult to engage with than others, and all the various barriers you have to go through. But being tenacious, there will always be a route, and I think tenacity is closely associated with perseverance. The routes that I took when I was in the corporate world, before I started my own interests, you don't succeed all the time, but you learn, and that route didn't work, so I'm going to try this route. There is always an answer, and there is always an avenue along which you can progress to arrive at the destination you want. So tenacity, resourcefulness, I think, are key. Courtesy, we've mentioned before that
It should go without saying, really, shouldn't it? But
well, yeah. I mean, when I ring people, I apologise for disturbing them, and that sort of takes the wind out of their sails. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you still get told to, but courtesy is well, if we're brought up with good, mature, responsible parents, it's your P's and Q's and thank yous and what have you.
And humour's important, but we're not suggesting that people should be comedians.
Humour's very important, and I'm not suggesting anybody should be a stand-up comedian. Many comedians are able to respond to hecklers very quickly, ad-libbing and be quick on their feet. But sometimes, I might be engaging with executives in corporations in America or Australia, and there will be issues of the day. Could be politics. People say never talk about politics, but sometimes it's a good basis upon which to engage. And I think in my experience, those that I'm talking to from different cultures often appreciate people inquiring about, their own affairs. So yeah, humour is important, but I don't think it should be a structured part of any approach. If elements of humour come into any process of dialogue, then great, but it shouldn't be manufactured. It should be natural, and if it's not natural, it's probably going to end up being wrong. But yeah, tenacity, courtesy, and humour are key, and they're probably the most difficult to master if those particular qualities don't come naturally.